Crypto Caesar Capital. Hope you're well. It's the 14th of October, 2024, and we're going to look at Bitcoin as always. So here we are. We're now in October, and usually, as you can see on this spreadsheet, Q4 is usually really bullish for Bitcoin, and also Q1. Now, you could look at the reds if you want, but in fact, if you look at this table and then work out actually when those green months were, or those green quarters were in relation to the halving, you'll find that all of the quarters after a halving, or close to it rather, were green. So there is a strong directional trade view, in my view, that seasonality is going to push the price of Bitcoin to the upside through Q4 and Q1. There may well be a slowdown in Q2. The old adage, sell in May, go away, but then probably one last move to the upside when we go to Q3, Q4. So be interesting to see what happens, but the seasonality trade at the moment is pretty strong. And as I said, you know, most of these red quarters, if not all of these red quarters, were during bear markets. They were not after halving events in bull markets, and that's exactly where we are at the moment. So I say it again, there is a strong anticipated directional trade to the upside at the moment for Q4 and Q1. We'll approach Q2 when we get to it. So let's take a look at the chart quickly. This is Bitcoin on the weekly chart. I posted this chart the other day on X and got a few people calling me a moon boy. And anyone who listens to this channel, or is in my group, or follows me on Twitter will know I'm not any form of moon boy. Some people didn't like the idea of this channel. It's just a channel, that's all it is. And in fact, it's quite a significant channel, really, because this channel was created or started back in 2017. I mean, there are only 7 data points, but certainly Bitcoin has respected this channel since July of 17. And it's remained within this channel, save for a little wick down during the COVID sell-off. But this is something, you know, I mean, it's only a channel, but it's something that we've got to take a look at anyway and respect. And you know, at the moment, the top of this channel is around about the 200K mark. At the bottom of the channel, 36K. But, you know, with a 4-year cycle low, probably in the sort of like, you know, the sort of 60, 70K range of the channel, the lower end of the channel. So what we've got at the moment down here, this is the logarithmic MACD. If you're looking at any chart on a higher time frame, the first thing you want to do is put it on log. I do not understand why any of these twits on X use linear charts on a higher time frame. It makes 0 sense and kind of suggests to me that they don't know what they're doing, because when you're looking at anything on a longer time period, you need to look at it on a logarithmic basis, not a linear basis, because it just doesn't make sense unless you stick it on a logarithmic basis. So this is a logarithmic chart, and this is the logarithmic MACD. So if you're looking at a logarithmic chart, you need to look at the logarithmic MACD on the higher time frames, because again, if you're looking at a logarithmic chart with a linear MACD, it's not going to make any sense to you. It'll probably be lots of highs and lots of flats. So really important to use the LMACD, which is the logarithmic MACD. Now, as you can see on the MACD, we've got a potential cross going on here. Okay, we've had this sort of bearish momentum coming down here, which is now waning, because you can see it's starting to turn white or pink. And once the blue crosses the orange, then that is a confirmed bullish cross. So Bitcoin seems to be setting up for a bullish cross on the logarithmic MACD. Plus, you've got this sort of this period of consolidation, which has now lasted 217 days. It's a significant period of consolidation. and Bitcoin looks to be interested in breaking out of this downtrend here. Breaking out of this downtrend is around about 66k and change. That would be some form of confirmation of this break, but really we need to be breaking above the horizontal area of resistance, which is around, without the wicks, about 71k and change. But that seems to be happening at the moment. And of course, we have this strong directional trade for Q4 and Q1. Bitcoin's looking pretty strong. The narrative at the moment around Bitcoin is pretty strong as well. So things are looking pretty good at the moment. So let's just take a look at something interesting, and that's the pi cycle. Now, I've done a few videos on the pi cycle. This is an indicator which I think is very, I think it's a decent indicator because let's take away the MACD for a moment. Let's take away this channel. It's an interesting indicator because, to be quite frank, it has in the past been very well at gauging tops and bottoms. It's based on a multitude of moving averages, but if we can have a look at the entire chart, you will see that the pi cycle high and low indicator has pretty much been able to gauge the peaks and troughs of the cycle of Bitcoin. And essentially what happens is when so I've put this moving average in the color blue so I can see it properly because I'm slightly colorblind, but once this blue moving average, which is a 350 SMA or DMA times 2, crosses the yellow moving average underneath, that gives a pi cycle high. So for example, here in 2017, it gave the pi cycle high pretty much bang on the top. Back in the cycle of 2013, it gave 2 pi cycle highs because there was such an aggressive move to the upside, a correction, then a further aggressive move. But basically the price got above the 350, which is the blue moving average, rallied above it for some time, which then allowed the 111, which is the yellow SMA, to cross, thus giving a pi cycle high. But it gave the 2 highs in that cycle because it was such an aggressive move. But back in 2017, it was very, very accurate. In 2021, we got a pi cycle high around the sort of April 2021 point because, of course, the 350 times 2 crossed the 111, thus giving us a pi cycle high. Now, it wasn't quite the top at that point because Bitcoin then went on to make a low and then a further high, but only by a sort of a little hair length. But essentially, if you had listened to the pi cycle indicator at that point and sold your position, then you would have done very well because you would have been selling at around about 64k and change. It's also been pretty good at gauging the lows. You'll see got the low and the high in 2017 high bang on. It got the low in December 18 bang on. Got the high a little bit soon, as we just discussed a moment ago, in 2021, and it got the low a bit soon. But even if you'd listened to it at that point, you still would have been buying Bitcoin around about the 19-20k mark, having sold it at the 64k mark. So pretty good trade there. So I think this indicator is certainly worth noting, and it's something worth having in your toolbox. But what's interesting about this indicator is this. And not only is it able to, or historically was it able to gauge tops and bottoms pretty well, but what's interesting is that when Bitcoin gets above the blue moving average, so the 350 times 2, you can see here, this is the blue moving average. Once it gets above that, that's the point where things get really, really heavy and hectic and mania, and it doesn't really spend a huge amount of time above that moving average. For example, back in 2020 through to 2021, it was literally above that moving average for 119 days, so about 4 months or so. So not very long, and that's kind of how long these mania phases last for Bitcoin. They're very, very violent, very, very quick. So you've got to be on your toes and ready for them. Now, interestingly enough, the 350, so the blue moving average at the moment, sitting around about 111k. So if we look historically, Bitcoin has always trended above the 350 in each cycle. Okay, here, and here. So I think the chances are is that at some point, either this quarter or the next quarter, Bitcoin will start trading or trending above the 350 EMA times 2, which at the moment is about 114k. But once it starts trending above that price area or that moving average, that's when the yellow moving average, the 111 SMA, is going to come right up behind it and start really making traction to the upside. And then once it gets close, once it makes that cross, that's usually when you get the pi cycle high. So it very much depends on how quickly the price moves, because if the price starts to move quickly, then this yellow moving average is going to start trailing behind it pretty quickly like this, you know. But it very much depends how quickly Bitcoin wants to get there. But most interestingly, I would say, is when Bitcoin gets above this blue 350, that moving average, it doesn't really remain above it for very long. But at the moment, that price point is around about 111, 112k. So in my view, I would say that Bitcoin is going to, at the very least, trade around that price, or I would say likely higher than that price at some point in this cycle. So that's something to keep in your toolbox. We'll have a look at some other indicators as we go through the weeks and the months. But at the moment, I would say that there is a strong likelihood that Bitcoin has now finished its consolidation, and it will be now trending to the upside through Q4 and Q1 of this year and next. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to join the group, please check out the website. There's a link in the description. You can either email us through the website, or you can DM me direct on Twitter. But if you want to join the group, we will be able to help you trade this directional trade and hopefully ensure that you come out a winner rather than a loser. Have a good day. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.